Hey guys, today's story is a little different. Imagine an Atlanta garden bathed in June sunlight, roses perfuming the air, wedding vows echoing, and the bitter sting of betrayal lurking like a shadow. Days after my brother's wedding, where I danced and toasted his new chapter, I logged into my bank account to find $8,500 vanished stolen without a trace. The dawning truth that my own brother, my closest ally, had robbed me felt like a blade twisting in my chest, shattering a lifetime of trust. My name is Maya Reynolds, 32, a graphic designer who carved a creative life through grit and late nights. I'm not here to rage or sob. I'm here to show you how I turned his theft into my triumph. And if you think karma's slow, wait until you hear this. So, before you get pulled in, take a second to like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually believe that betrayal always comes back around. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from, and have you ever had someone you trusted rob you blind? Now sit back, let the room go quiet, and let me tell you how it really went down. The wedding was a golden blur, Atlanta's summer heat softened by a breeze rustling through the garden venue. My brother, Jamal, 29, stood tall in his tuxedo, his grin wide as he married Nia, his college sweetheart. As maid of honor, I wore a peach dress that swished with every step, my heart full as I raised a glass for my toast, to Jamal and Nia, may love carry you forever. Our family cheered, Mom's eyes glistening under her wide-brimmed hat, Dad's hand firm on Jamal's shoulder. Growing up in our modest Decatur home, Jamal and I were inseparable partners in mischief, confidants in dreams. I'd sketch his band's flyers while he spun tracks as a DJ, his laughter my anchor. For his wedding, I'd poured my heart into every detail, from designing the invitations to covering $2,000 of the bar tab, a gift drawn from my hard-earned savings. My freelance graphic design work, built on branding for local startups, paid well, but $8,500 was my safety net, a dream fund for a new studio space to grow my business. The glow of the wedding lingered until Wednesday, when I sat in my midtown loft, its exposed brick walls warmed by morning light. I was sketching a logo for a client, the hum of Atlanta's traffic a faint pulse outside, when I logged into my bank account to pay a vendor. The balance was wrong, $8,500 gone, drained in cash withdrawals over the wedding weekend. My coffee mug slipped, ceramic clinking against the table as my heart raced. I called the bank, my voice trembling. No unauthorized access, the representative said, her tone clipped. The withdrawals used your PIN. My PIN, a number I guarded fiercely, known only to mean Jamal. Years ago, he'd borrowed my debit card for an emergency, promising to never use it again. I'd trusted him, my brother, my blood. The truth crashed over me like a wave, Jamal had stolen from me. The loft's high ceilings seemed to press down, the city's skyline dimmed through my window, its vibrancy mocking my shock. I sank onto my couch, the leather cool against my skin, my phone heavy in my hand. The wedding replayed Jamal's nervous laugh as we practiced his vows, Nia's whispered gratitude for my help, Mom's pride as she hugged us both. Had I missed the signs? Jamal had been tense, mentioning tight budgets and wedding stress, but I'd chalked it up to nerves. Now, his warm hugs felt calculated, his smiles a mask. The betrayal wasn't just the money, it was the violation of our bond, the kind only siblings forge through shared secrets and childhood scars. I wanted to call him, to scream, to demand why he'd done this, but a colder instinct took hold. Confronting him now would spark denials, tears, family chaos. He'd count on my love, my loyalty, to shield him. He was wrong. I paced the loft, my bare feet silent on the hardwood, the sting of betrayal sharpening into resolve. I'd given Jamal everything, me time, my art, my trust, and he'd taken more, plundering my future at a moment meant for joy. The wound was raw, a quiet ache that threatened to swallow me. I thought of our childhood, sneaking cookies from Mom's jar, promising to always have each other's backs. That promise was a lie, and the realization was a gut punch, a truth that burned. I wasn't just hurt, I was awake. I'd built my design career on precision, crafting brands that told stories. I could craft his downfall with the same care, not with fists, but with strategy. I called my friend Zoe, a freelance photographer who'd seen me through countless crises. Jamal stole $8,500, I said, my voice steady despite the tremor inside. Her silence was heavy. Then, your brother? Maya, that's low. She paused, her voice firming. What's your plan? I didn't have one, not fully, but the seed was there. Rage urged me to storm his new apartment, but that was reckless. Jamal thought he'd slipped away clean, that family ties would blind me. He'd underestimated me. I opened my laptop, the bank's transaction log glowing like a challenge. The theft was his opening move, mine would be a checkmate. He'd robbed me at his wedding, a day of love. I'd expose him on his own stage, before our family. His betrayal cut deep, but my justice would cut deeper. I began with practical steps. I changed my PIN, froze my accounts, and requested detailed bank records. Zoe's advice echoed, follow the money. I hesitated. Spying on Jamal felt like crossing a line, but trust was dead. I logged into our shared family cloud, where he sometimes stored receipts, searching for clues. A Venmo payment to a bookie, dated before the wedding, caught my eye. My stomach churned. Gambling? Debt? The questions were sparks, igniting a plan. I'd find the truth, build my case, and strike when he least expected. The Atlanta skyline glittered outside, a city of hustle and heart. Jamal had stolen my safety net, but not my fire. I'd make him pay, not with tears, but with a reckoning he'd never forget. The Atlanta skyline was a haze of golden gray, the city's pulse muted by the rain tapping my loft's windows. Jamal's theft $8,500 drained from my account during his wedding weekend had left me reeling, the betrayal a wound that pulsed with every quiet moment. My brother, my confidant, had used my PIN, a secret shared in trust, to rob me blind. The bank's confirmation that the withdrawals were authorized was a cold truth, but I needed proof to pin it on him. I sat at my dining table, laptop open, the transaction log a glaring accusation. Digging deeper meant crossing a line, spying on family, but Jamal had crossed first. The search for answers wasn't just about money, it was about reclaiming my dignity. That quest, a quiet fire, shifted my shock into strategy, but it came with a cost. The Maya who'd loved unconditionally was fading, replaced by someone colder, more calculating. That transformation, a silent ache, was my fuel, but it made me question who I'd become. I started with the family cloud, my fingers hesitant on the keyboard. Jamal had always been careless, uploading receipts for tax write-offs. I found a folder labeled wedding, packed with invoices, caterers, florists, the venue. Buried among them was a Venmo receipt, $2,000 to ace_bets, timestamped a week before the wedding. My breath caught. Another, $1,500 to the same account, dated earlier. Gambling. The word landed heavy, a puzzle piece snapping into place. Jamal's tight budgets talk, his jittery vibe at the rehearsal dinner, signs I'd dismissed as wedding nerves now screamed debt. He'd used my $8,500 to cover his tracks, betting I'd never suspect family. The betrayal wasn't just theft, it was a calculated violation, a gut punch that burned. I needed more. I called Zoe, meeting her at a Decatur cafe, its air thick with coffee and rain. He's gambling, I said, sliding my phone to show the Venmo receipts. Her eyes narrowed. That's why he hit you up. She leaned in. Check his bank. You've got access, right? Mom had linked our accounts years ago for emergencies, a relic of our tight-knit days. I hesitated. Invading his privacy felt like sinking to his level, but trust was dead. Back home, I logged into Jamal's account, my heart pounding. Withdrawals to cash apps, payments to unfamiliar names, a pattern of desperation. One transfer, $8,500, matched my loss, sent to an account labeled J. Reynolds. Me. He'd funneled my money through his own account, covering his debts. The audacity was staggering. I saved screenshots, my hand steady despite the rage. Zoe's advice echoed, get hard proof. I contacted my bank, requesting security footage from the ATMs where the withdrawals occurred. It'll take a week, the manager said. I agreed, the way to test of patience. I also reached out to a friend, Marcus, a cybersecurity guy who'd helped me secure client files. Over beers at a Midtown bar, I shared my suspicion. Can you trace those cash apps? I asked. He nodded, his voice low. Give me the account names. I'll dig. His willingness was a lifeline, but the secrecy weighed heavy. I was building a case against my brother, a man I'd once idolized. The grief was a quiet tension, a war between love and justice. I kept up appearances. Jamal texted, casual as ever, yo, sis, thanks for the wedding love. Dinner soon? His nerve was a slap, as if he hadn't robbed me. I replied, sure, busy but let's plan. My words were light, hiding the steel beneath. Let him think I was clueless, the doting sister. I called Mom, her voice warm. You okay, Maya? You've been quiet. I lied, just swamped with work. Protecting her was instinct, but it meant lying to the woman who'd raised us. Sophie's face flashed our cousin, close as a sister, who'd danced with us at the wedding. Should I tell her? No. Not yet. The lies were a quiet burden, a mirror of Jamal's deceit. I dug deeper. Marcus sent an email, Ace_Bets is a known bookie. Jamal's been paying him for months. The confirmation was a blade, slicing through doubt. I found an email in the family cloud, Jamal to Nia, paid off the guy, we're good now. Sent the day after the wedding. Nia knew. The realization was a gut punch, a betrayal doubled. His new wife, who'd hugged me at the altar, was complicit. I saved the email, my case growing. The bank footage arrived, grainy but clear, Jamal at the ATM, head down, withdrawing my cash. My brother's face, caught in the act, was my quiet power, a truth I'd wield when ready. I planned my next move. Zoe suggested a family barbecue, a monthly tradition at Mom's. Hit him there, she said. Everyone'll see. The idea was bold, exposing Jamal before our kin, mirroring his theft at a family event. But doubt crept in. Would Mom forgive me? Would Sophie understand? The risk was a shadow, but I pressed on. I wasn't just fighting $4,500, I was fighting for me. Jamal had stolen my safety net, my trust. I'd steal his facade, his pride. The barbecue would be my stage, his betrayal my script. He thought he'd slipped away clean. Soon, he'd face the sister he'd underestimated, and his world would shift. The Atlanta heat clung to my skin, the city's summer pulse a distant hum as I sat in my midtown loft, the bank's ATM footage of Jamal withdrawing my $8,500 frozen on my laptop screen. His theft, confirmed by Venmo receipts, bank transfers, and an email to Nia, was a betrayal that cut deeper than the dollars. My brother had used my trust, my PIN, to fund his gambling debts, all while I toasted his wedding. Confronting him would have been easy, screaming, demanding my money, but that was his game, messy and defensive. Mine would be calculated, a silent strike he'd never see coming. I'd play the loving sister, let him think he'd escaped, while planning to expose him at our family's monthly barbecue. The act was my armor, but it came with a cost. Every lie I told Mom, Sophie, Jamal chipped away at the Maya who'd lived for family. That erosion, a quiet unraveling, was my battle, but it sharpened my resolve to make him pay. I kept up the facade. Jamal called, his voice bright. Sis, you coming to Mom's barbecue? He asked, as if he hadn't robbed me. Wouldn't miss it, I said, my tone warm, masking the ice beneath. I texted Sophie, our cousin, about her new job, keeping it light, can't wait to catch up. Mom invited me for dinner, her voice soft. You seem distant, Maya, she said. I lied, just busy with clients. The deception was a weight, a mirror of Jamal's lies. Protecting them meant hiding the truth, but it felt like betraying myself. I wanted to confess, to share the pain, but I couldn't, not yet. The barbecue was my stage, and I needed them unaware. Zoe was my anchor. We met at a Decatur park, the air thick with jasmine and heat. "You're sure about the barbecue?" she asked, tossing a frisbee to her dog. I nodded, showing her the ATM footage. "He's got no excuse." Her eyes hardened. "Then make it count." She suggested a plan: present the evidence mid-gathering, when Jamal's guard was down. "Family's his shield," she said. "Take it away." The idea was bold, but doubt gnawed. What if Mom blamed me? What if Sophie took his side? The fear was a quiet tension, a crack in my resolve. Zoe saw it. "You're not the villain," she said. "He is." Her words were a spark, reigniting my fire. I leaned on allies. Marcus, my cybersecurity friend, dug deeper into Jamal's Cash App payments, confirming $10,000 in gambling debts cleared post-wedding. "He's still betting," Marcus said over coffee at a Midtown cafe. "Smaller amounts, but he's in deep." I saved his report, my case airtight. I called Rachel, a lawyer friend, who reviewed my evidence bank records, footage, emails. "You've got him," she said, her voice crisp. "But public shaming's risky." "You sure?" I was. A lawsuit was slow. I wanted Jamal to face our family now. Rachel agreed to draft a demand letter, reclaiming my $8,500, to present at the barbecue. "It's leverage," she said. Each ally was a thread in my web, but the secrecy was heavy. I was lying to everyone, a stranger in my own life. I kept designing, delivering client logos, my work a refuge. At a networking event, I smiled through small talk, deflecting questions about Jamal's wedding. "It was beautiful," I said, the lie bitter. I tracked Jamal's moves, not out of obsession, but strategy. His Instagram showed him DJing, Nia at his side, their smiles a facade. A Venmo payment to Ace_Bets popped up, $500, days ago. He hadn't stopped. The audacity fueled me, but also hurt. I remembered our childhood Jamal teaching me to ride a bike, promising to always protect me. That promise was dust, and the grief was a gut punch, a reminder of what I'd lost. I wanted to forgive, to save him, but he'd chosen this path. I prepared for the barbecue like a general. I printed the evidence, ATM stills, bank logs, Marcus report, organizing it in a folder. Rachel's demand letter was crisp, legal, undeniable. I practiced my speech, short and sharp. "Jamal stole $8,500 from me, and here's the proof." I stood in my loft, the mirror reflecting a woman I barely knew, calm, fierce, unyielding. But doubt was a quiet tension. Would exposing him fracture our family? Would Mom's heart break? I pushed it aside. Jamal had gambled my trust, my future. I'd gamble his pride. The barbecue was my quiet power, a moment to shift the family's gravity. He'd thought me blind, a sister too loyal to suspect. Soon, he'd see the woman I'd become, and his mask would fall. I avoided Jamal's texts, replying with vague emojis. He invited me to his gig, oblivious. Swamped, I wrote, my lies piling up. Mom called, excited about the barbecue. "Bring your peach cobbler," she said. I agreed, the normalcy a knife. I wasn't just planning to expose Jamal, I was planning to upend our family story. The risk was a live wire, my heart steady despite the stakes. He'd stolen my money at his wedding, a day of love. I'd steal his honor at Mom's, a day of kin. His betrayal was his opening move, mine would be a checkmate. He'd learn what it cost to cross me. The Atlanta dusk was a soft purple, the city's skyline a distant glow as I sat in my midtown loft, the folder of evidence against Jamal, ATM footage, bank records, Venmo receipts, and an email to Nia spread across my dining table. His theft of $8,500 from my account during his wedding weekend was a wound that had hardened into resolve. I'd chosen to expose him at Mom's monthly family barbecue, a gathering of kin where his betrayal would hit hardest. For weeks, I'd played the loyal sister, letting him believe he'd escaped while building a case with allies like Zoe, Marcus, and Rachel. But each Leto mom, Sophie, myself carved a deeper scar. I was no longer the Maya who'd trusted blindly, but the strategist I'd become felt foreign, a quiet shadow. The barbecue was days away, and the weight of my plan publicly shaming my brother tested my heart. Yet, Sophie and Mom's faces drove me. Jamal had stolen my future, I'd steal his facade. I fortified my evidence. Marcus, my cybersecurity friend, met me at a Buckhead diner, its neon sign buzzing. "Jamal's still paying that bookie," he said, sliding over a USB drive. "Small bets, but he's drowning." The drive held transaction logs, linking Jamal's Cash App to Ace_Bet's post-wedding. I added it to my folder, my hand steady despite the churn inside. Rachel, my lawyer, reviewed the haul over Zoom, her office overlooking Atlanta's Peachtree Street. "This is airtight," she said, adjusting her glasses. The demand letter's ready $8,500, plus interest. She'd serve it at the barbecue, a legal punch to back my reveal. "You're sure about going public?" she asked. I nodded, the risk a live wire. Exposing Jamal could fracture our family, but silence would break me. Allies were my strength. Zoe, my strategist, came over, her camera bag slung across her shoulder. "Show the footage on your laptop," she said, pacing my loft. Visuals hit harder. She suggested I speak mid-barbecue, when everyone was relaxed, Jamal's guard down. "Make it undeniable," she said. I agreed, but doubt crept in. What if Mom collapsed? What if Sophie blamed me? The fear was a quiet tension, a crack in my armor. Zoe saw it. "You're not tearing the family apart," she said. He did. Her words were a spark, but the guilt lingered. I contacted Sophie's brother, Trey, a cousin close to Jamal. Over coffee at a West End cafe, I hinted at trouble. "Watch Jamal's spending," I said. "Something's off." Trey's nod was cautious, but enough. Each ally tightened my web, but the secrecy was a gut punch, a reminder I was alone in this fight. I prepped my reveal like a design project. I created a presentation, screenshots, footage, timeline-esque and professional, like a client pitch. The ATM still showed Jamal's face, unmistakable. Rachel's letter was printed, its legal weight a silent threat. I practiced my speech in my loft, the city's hum outside. "Jamal stole $8,500 from me, here's the proof." My voice was calm, but my mirror reflected a stranger, fierce, unyielding. Nights were brutal. I'd hold a photo from Jamal's 16th birthday, us laughing over cake. The brother I'd loved was gone, replaced by a thief. The grief was a quiet war, a battle between justice and love. I wanted to forgive, to save him, but he'd gambled my trust. I'd gamble his pride. Physically, I armored up. I bought a dress for the barbecue, navy, simple, a statement of strength. I got a haircut, my curls sharp, my reflection resolute. At work, I delivered logos, my focus a refuge. Clients praised my poise, unaware of the storm inside. I kept up appearances, texting Jamal about his DJ gigs, "Killing it, bro." He replied with emojis, oblivious. Mom called, excited about the barbecue. "Bring your cobbler," she said. I promised, the normalcy a knife. Sophie texted, planning to bring her new boyfriend. "Can't wait to see you," she wrote. I smiled, but my liesto her, to Mom were a quiet burden. I wasn't just exposing Jamal, I was rewriting our family's story. I tracked Jamal's moves. Marcus sent an update, a $300 Venmo to Ace_Bets, days ago. Jamal's Instagram showed him spinning at a club, Nia at his side, their smiles a lie. An email from Nia to Jamal, found in the family cloud, read, "We're clear now, right?" Post-wedding. She was in deeper than I'd thought. The complicity stung, but I saved it. The barbecue was my quiet power, a moment to shift our family's gravity. I'd present the evidence, serve the demand letter, and let Jamal face the crowd he'd charmed. But doubt was a live wire. Would Mom forgive me? Would Sophie understand? I pushed it aside. Jamal had stolen my safety net, my heart. I'd steal his honor. He thought he'd slipped away clean. Soon, he'd face the sister he'd underestimated, and his world would crumble. The Atlanta sun blazed high, casting dappled shadows through the oak trees in Mom's Decatur backyard, where our family barbecue buzzed with laughter and the sizzle of ribs on the grill. Jamal's theft of $8,500 from my account during his wedding had built to this moment a public reckoning I'd planned for weeks. With evidence in hand, ATM footage, bank records, Venmo receipts, and Nia's complicit email, I'd played the loyal sister, letting him think he'd escaped while plotting to expose him here, among kin. My navy dress was armor, my folder of proof a weapon, but my heart raced. This wasn't just about money, it was about reclaiming my trust, my dignity. The risk was a quiet weight, one misstep, and I'd fracture our family, not just Jamal's facade. Yet, Sophie's giggle and Mom's warm smile steeled me. He'd betrayed me at his wedding, I'd answer at Mom's table. The backyard was alive, cousins tossing a frisbee, Dad flipping burgers, Sophie introducing her boyfriend, Trey pouring lemonade. Jamal spun tunes from a portable speaker, Nia at his side, their smiles a polished lie. I helped Mom set the table, my cobbler steaming, her chatter about her garden a bomb. "You okay, Maya?" she asked, her eyes searching. I nodded, my lie a quiet tension. Zoe arrived, her nod confirming our plan, reveal mid-meal, when Jamal's guard was lowest. Rachel, my lawyer, was on standby, her demand letter in my bag, ready to serve. Marcus texted, "You got this." Their support was a lifeline, but doubt gnawed. Would Mom's heart break? Would Sophie judge me? I pushed it aside, my resolve ablade. Dinner began, plates piled with ribs and collards, the family's chatter warm. Jamal sat across from me, joking with Dad, oblivious. I ate slowly, my folder beside me, the moment approaching like a storm. Zoe caught my eye, her nod sharp. I stood, my chair scraping the grass, the table quieting. "I need to say something," I said, my voice calm but clear. Heads turned, forks paused. Jamal's smile faltered, Nia's hand tightening on her glass. I opened my folder, my laptop ready, and began. "Jamal stole $8,500 from my account during his wedding," I said, holding up the ATM stills. "Here's him, using my PIN." Gasps rippled, Mom's hand flying to her chest. I clicked play, the footage showing Jamal's face, unmistakable. Bank records, Venmo to a bookie, an email to Nia, he planned it. The backyard stilled, the air thick. Jamal's face strained, his voice rising. "Maya, what is this? You're lying." Nia's eyes darted, guilt clear. I didn't flinch, my voice cutting through. "You gambled my savings to pay your debts." Nia knew. I held up the email, her words were clear now glowing on my screen. Sophie's boyfriend whispered to her, Trey's jaw tight. Dad's face hardened, Mom's eyes wet. I slid Rachel's demand letter across the table. "Pay me back, Jamal, or face court." He lunged for the folder, shouting, "This is crazy. You're jealous." His desperation was a chorus, his charm cracking before the family he'd fooled. I stood firm, my head high. "You stole my trust," I said, my voice a quiet blade. "Now you face the truth." The family murmured, cousins whispering, Sophie staring at Jamal, betrayed. Mom's voice broke the silence, trembling. "Is this true, son?" Jamal stammered, his denial weak. Nia looked away, her silence damning. I stepped back, the folder closed, my point made. The barbecue was my quiet power, a reversal that shifted our family's heart. I'd exposed him, not with rage, but with truth, his theft laid bare before those he loved. Zoe squeezed my arm, Rachel texted, nailed it. I left the table, the Atlanta air warm, the chatter resuming behind me, now laced with shock. Driving home, the city's skyline blurred, my heart a tangle of triumph and loss. I'd reclaimed my dignity, but at a cost. Sophie's wide eyes, Mom's terse they'd seen Jamal's truth, but also mine. Would they forgive me for breaking the family's peace? The guilt was a gut punch, a crack in my victory. At my loft, I poured tea, the quiet settling. Rachel called, her voice brisk. Jamal's lawyer contacted me. He'll pay to avoid court. I exhaled, the win a foundation, but not a home. The barbecue was my stage, Jamal screams his defeat. But Sophie and Mom were my heart, and I'd fight to mend them. He'd stolen my money, I'd stolen his mask. The story wasn't over, but the ending was mine. The Atlanta autumn draped the city in gold, leaves rustling underfoot as I walked to my new studio space in Midtown, a sunlit loft where my design business was thriving. Jamal's theft of $8,500 from my account during his wedding had culminated in his exposure at Mom's barbecue, where ATM footage, bank records, and Nia's email laid bare his gambling debts and betrayal. His screams, the family's shock, and his forced repayment were justice, a public reckoning for his private crime. But justice wasn't healing. The barbecue had shifted our family's core, leaving Mom's eyes dim, Sophie's trust frayed. I'd reclaimed my money, but mending our bonds was my true work. The Maya who'd loved Jamal fiercely was gone, replaced by someone wiser, more guarded. That shift, a quiet rebirth, was my challenge, to build a life beyond his shadow, for me, Sophie, and Mom. The fallout was swift. Jamal paid the $8,500, his lawyer settling with Rachel to avoid court. Nia left him, her complicity a stain she couldn't erase. His DJ gigs dried up, Atlanta's music scene whispering of his debts. Mom called days after the barbecue, her voice soft. I'm disappointed in him, Maya, but I love you both. I drove to Decatur, her kitchen warm with coffee and cornbread. I had to tell the truth, I said, my hands around a mug. She nodded, tears falling. You did right. Her forgiveness was a balm, but her pain was a gut punch, a reminder of the cost. I hugged her, promising weekly dinners, a vow to rebuild our heart. Sophie was tougher. She texted, distant, why didn't you tell me first? I met her at a Virginia Highland cafe, the air crisp, her eyes guarded. I wanted to protect you, I said, my voice steady. Jamal hurt us all. She softened, her hand touching mine. I'm mad at him, not you. We talked for hours, her laughter a spark. Ethan, her boyfriend, joined us, his nod approving. You're strong, Maya, he said. Their trust, fragile but growing, was my quiet power, a light in the wreckage. But guilt lingered had I hurt them by going public. I pushed it aside. They deserved a cousin who fought, not one who hid. I threw myself into work. My studio, funded by new clients, hummed with projects, logos for startups, branding for restaurants. A local magazine featured me, calling my designs soulful. I hired an assistant, Lena, whose energy matched mine. Zoe noticed, over wine at my loft. You're killing it, she said. I smiled, the truth bittersweet. Success was mine, but alone. Jamal's absence was a void, not of love, but of memory, our childhood laughs, our shared dreams. One night, I found a mixtape he'd made me at 15, tracks we'd danced to. I played it, the beats a quiet ache. He'd been my brother, my hero. His betrayal had forged me, but it left a scar. I rebuilt my life. I joined a pottery class, my hands shaping clay, a new rhythm. I volunteered at a community center, mentoring teens in design, their spark a mirror to my own. Sophie spent weekends with me, sketching in my studio, her presence a gift. Mom hosted dinners, her table warm again, though Jamal's chair stayed empty. He'd moved to Savannah, working a low-key job, his Instagram silent. I didn't follow him, I didn't need to. His consequences were his own, a mirror to the trust he'd gambled. A letter arrived, his handwriting shaky. "I'm sorry, Maya. I'll make it right someday." I read it, then filed it away, my heart steady. Forgiveness wasn't mine to give, not yet. My business grew, a national client signing on, my designs in stores. I hosted a studio open house, Mom and Sophie beaming, Zoe snapping photos. To Maya, Mom toasted, her voice strong. I smiled, tears pricking. They were my victory, not Jamal's fall. The barbecue was my turning point, but this living, thriving was my legacy. Jamal had thought me soft, a sister to exploit. I'd proven him wrong, not with screams, but with a life remade. His world dimmed, mine shone. The story was mine now, and I was writing its future. The Atlanta spring unfolds, dogwoods blooming outside my studio, where I sketch, coffee warm, the city's pulse a quiet song. Jamal's theft $8,500 stolen at his wedding, his gambling laid bare at Mom's barbecue's a scar, not a chain. I exposed him, reclaimed my money, but the real triumph is here, in the life I built. Sophie's sketches fill my walls, Mom's dinners warm my Sundays. My studio, my mentorships, my pottery mine, earned through pain but shaped by choice. I'm no longer Jamal's sister, but Maya, whole, unbroken. This wasn't about revenge, it was about rising. I learned my strength, not in his shadow, but in my light. The studio, the community center, the family dinners theory, my story, written in resilience. Jamal's world faded, his debts his burden, his apologies unread. I don't gloat, I'm free. To anyone watching, know this, betrayal can shatter you, but it can also forge you. I found myself in the ruins, and that's the victory that endures. Where are you watching from? Have you rebuilt after betrayal? Share your journey in the comments, hit like, subscribe if you believe justice writes its own ending. Thank you for walking this with me. Keep crafting your own story, make it unshakable.